Dave and I are really glad to be here today to talk about some exciting advancements that we've been working on with Mapbox that will make it easier than ever for organizations to procure, deploy, and maintain enterprise geospatial infrastructures using a new managed service offering for Atlas. So for those who don't know, New Light Technologies is an integrated IT and geospatial services consultancy and a small business based just a few blocks from here in DC. And we're involved in leading a number of cloud and DevOps and large data analytics and delivery initiatives across government, nonprofits, academia, and commercial sectors. And through this experience, with a range of environments and technologies and so forth, we've really developed a unique appreciation for the operational and organizational kinds of challenges inherent in delivering geospatial infrastructures to meet different missions. And among the most important and challenging of these are those in the Homeland Security, emergency management, and disasters context. So, for instance, imagine you work for a large organization that needs to quickly prepare for a massive hurricane that's bearing down on the coast, right? And you need to identify exposure to risk for people and assets, plan logistics and evacuations, and support through the aftermath with things like disaster assessments or recovery projects and so forth. So this storm has generated a lot of new demand in your organization for live location information, right? But the problem is your current infrastructure isn't going to be able to support it. And the clock is ticking. So because your current system isn't going to work, an entirely new hardware and software architecture is going to be needed. And it's going to also need to be able to have a full suite of capabilities to support the enterprise, right? From delivering and serving large data sets to providing tools and SDKs for developers to be able to build maps and apps for any device that can search and geocode and navigate and visualize location information in real time. And it's going to have to be extremely stable and reliable and able to seamlessly scale to meet any volume of user traffic, right? And it's going to need to be able to adhere to security requirements that, let's say, the hardware architecture, software, and data all need to reside within the US, and that the system be totally isolated from any other system. And the clock is still ticking. So the traditional way to do this, of course, would be to have to buy all the hardware and software yourself, assemble it, provision any underlying networking, virtualization, operating systems, install and configure the database, application, and web components, integrate identity management, apply security controls, tune it for performance, deploy it to production, and then somehow maintain it all forever after that, right? So there's some serious disadvantages with the DIY approach, I think. First of all, it takes too long. Having to go through all those steps can take months, if not years, for many organizations. And many of those steps can introduce unforeseen complications and delays and even compromises to the original design principles that you had. Second, between all the hardware and software and security and labor and time and paperwork, to do it yourself, it's really expensive. Third, the buy once, forever hold your peace approach forces organizations to buy a configuration for a future potential use case rather than what they actually need or want right now. And worse, what's purchased generally isn't easily adaptable or scalable, if needs or demands change. And as a reward, one is left with the little present known as technical debt, which accumulates as technology investments age and become more costly over time. So what's the solution? The solution is a new managed service offering for Atlas, Mapbox's enterprise platform for the private cloud. So this new managed service will provide Atlas ready to go in the cloud, along with all the support needed to ensure it's always available and performing the way you need it. This means you don't have to spend time on all the setup and configuration and maintenance, and you can just focus on the fun stuff, making maps with Atlas. The service provides for easy procurement, rapid deployment and installation to the cloud, which Dave's going to show us here live, I hope. The service is offered for both the commercial and government clouds, with options for deploying to single-tenant infrastructure, which provide a higher level of security. Utilizing the tiled data and a robust cloud architecture that includes a content delivery network, the service is able to provide some of the fastest performance available on the web today. And it's totally scalable to meet any demand. And all the system and app updates, continuous monitoring, backups and recovery, and customer support are included. So organizations can deploy to either the commercial or the government clouds. Government clouds guarantee full US residency of the infrastructure and its support for anybody who requires that. You can also choose to run your Atlas in either the shared infrastructure or in what's a fully dedicated or isolated single-tenant hardware architecture, which provides a higher level of security. If you want to know more about these kinds of options, we'd be happy to talk you through it. But in total, let's go back to this. This new managed service offering offers a lot of attractive features and benefits, and I think really represents a breakthrough that will now enable organizations to easily deploy and maintain their own secure enterprise-scale Mapbox live location platforms in the cloud. And now we're going to turn it over to Dave to do a live deployment.
All right, so let's see. First, I want to thank the gentleman up there. Can you raise your hand? He did some fantastic last-minute configuration of this machine, or we were going to have to draw on the board. So thanks, Rob. It's really fun to be here. I've been working in GIS industry on and off for about 20 years. Mapbox is a fantastic product, and I've got to know it in the last 6 months and really love working with it. We're going to demonstrate live, hopefully. This is live in real time, a deployment of the entire Atlas stack that we would deploy for a customer. It's going to be the network, the security, the storage, the compute, and if it works, it'll be like under 60 seconds. We have built this, and we build in the way we manage our cloud customers and our infrastructure. We big believers in configuration as code, automate everything. Configuration as code. It allows us to automate deployments. It's very safe, self-documenting. Moving towards things like FedRAMP, it helps with accreditation. It's deployable, it's repeatable, all the good things with infrastructure as code, which I'm a big advocate for. Okay, so first, let's look at an AWS console. I just want to show, this is a government console in GovEast. There's an old EC2 in there that's in the terminated state, so that's not what we're working with. Hopefully that would have cleared up by now, but it's not. But what I want to show is there's nothing in here other than this terminated instance. Okay, we're going to open our script. That was the first thing I had up. I'm using a particular tool that some folks might recognize. I'm going to deploy it. I'm going to click yes here. And what this is telling me is these are all the things that are in that script. So there's security rules and subnets and EC2s. And what we've done is we've imaged the Atlas box. It's about a half a terabyte. We've imaged it. We have different configuration images for the different customer tokens. And instead of taking hours to set it up just by downloading content, in addition to having to know all the tech skills to do it, we're going to deploy it here in maybe 45 seconds. All right, so here we go. I'm clicking yes, and now it's created the VPC, the subnets, the rules. This is all live time interacting with the AWS API. We can do it with Azure, we can do it with any cloud. And now it's working on the EC2. There we go. And it's done. The entire stack is deployed live. Let's go look at it. Okay, there's the new machine running. It's still warming up. I'm going to talk and stall for a few seconds here because it just has to boot. And what we've done is, for this image and for the conference, we've baked an image with some interesting layers. The company we work for, New Light, we support a variety of government agencies. So we've baked these layers into this image. So now I'm going to pull it up. We're going to log into, I have a stored AWS CloudFront endpoint. CloudFront is their CDN, which, as Joe was talking about, is one of the really key enabling pieces. Our infrastructure stack is quite simple, but we can scale to the internet, and that's not an exaggeration. So we've done big load tests. Because the Mapbox environment is fundamentally tiles, all that content is cacheable. And because the rendering is done primarily, if you're in vector sense, and the gentleman from the census was talking about, it's done in the browser, you're distributing the load, right? So when we do these tests, let's say there's a hurricane, a massive increase in usage, 1,000 times increase, it doesn't take down your backend stack. We can have a small running environment and use a CDN to deploy. All right. Okay, this is the Atlas. So Atlas is Mapbox sort of portable product, all the APIs and the core data sets. Let's log in. All right. And we go into Studio, which is their editing environment. And this is the map that I pre-baked, so it's got 3 additional layers. Let's go ahead and open it up. This is for the Hurricane Harvey event in 2017 or 18? I forget I think it was 2017. So we've got the, I think this is the base map, core base map, like the road base map. And we've added flood layers. That's this dark blue. The color represents the depth. We've added, these dots are a large agency's assessments of damage. And then we can zoom in. I don't have a mouse on me. These rectangles are actually building footprints. So, and they should render in a second. And because of this, and so there it is. This stuff isn't probably cached yet because it's still warming up. But we now have a product where we can deliver content globally or in the US. We can do it with a very small backend footprint, but expand and grow to meet really the need of any sort of incident. So this has been a lot of fun to work with. I will pass it back to Rob. Thank you all for having me.
That's awesome, Dave. Round of applause there. Full cloud Atlas in a minute. Impressive. Thank you so much, and look forward to talking with anybody who's interested.